Welcome to our presentation. This is being presented by the Sylacauga City Schools EdS cohort. Our presentation is on building a foundation in math proficiency that begins at Indian Valley Elementary School and transfers over to Nichols Lawson Middle School. It's being presented by Karen Walker, Cindy Cleveland, Olivia Harmon, Rita Jones, myself, Anna Johnson, Jennifer Migliori, and Meg Morris.
Mathematics may not teach us how to add love or minus hate, but it gives us the hope that every problem has a solution. And step one of our presentation is identifying the problem. So when we looked at data, I am at Indian Valley, and these other ladies are at Pinecrest, and they are the feeder school for our students. And looking at the data across the system, we chose math to focus on. So I'm going to give you a little background information on Indian Valley. We are a pre-K through 2 school, and we're a Title I school. And we, our numbers are a little different right at the moment with teachers, but we are approximately 36 to 38 teachers. And you see our numbers for free and reduced lunch, so we do have a high number of that as well.
I'm going to introduce you to Pinecrest Elementary School. That's the school that you're in right now. It's a 3 through 5 school, and we are a Title I school, which means that we use supplemental funds for different aspects of our education. As of right now, as of today, I spoke with our principal. We're at 505 students, and so that you see it differentiates depending on withdrawals and all that. And our district, we're at 56% free and reduced, and at Pinecrest, we're at 59%. We have 10 third grade units, 8 fourth grade units, and 8 fifth grade units. Looking at the charts, I wanted to show the demographics of Indian Valley and Pinecrest, and the main thing that I wanted to show was the Caucasian African American makes up majority of our demographics at Sylacauga City Schools.
Here we have some STAR data for Indian Valley from last school year, and we're going to talk about it because last year I was at Indian Valley. The thing that we're looking at mostly is the number of students that we have that scored in the urgent intervention range. Last school year in first grade, at the beginning of the school year when we did our fall progress monitoring, 16 students, which would have been 12% of the grade level, scored in the urgent intervention range. And in second grade, we had 23% of our students, or 23 students, which would have been 14%. By the end of the school year, when we did our spring progress monitoring, first grade was down to only 10 students, and second grade was also down to 19 students on urgent intervention.
And these pie charts just show more of our STAR data with our first and second grade students. This first one is the same numbers as spring end of the year benchmark for our first grade students. And of course the green is our at or above proficiency. And the blue are our own watch students, but we do see the need here to still of our non-proficient students with math. And then this other one also shows our second grade students. This was the progress monitoring in spring, and we no longer use STAR, but we wanted to look at all of the pieces of the data.
And this shows our Pinecrest School STAR data. And in third grade, we have 3% urgent intervention. In fourth grade, we have 5% urgent intervention. And in fifth grade, we have just 3.03% urgent intervention. And then intervention back to third grade is 9%. For fourth grade, it's 12%. And for fifth grade, it's 10.01%. And we're so proud of our STAR data, but even though our numbers are low, we want our students to continually grow and improve. To concentrate on the last 2 years, the 2015-16, we have, I'm going to have to work up here. Third grade, it starts from third grade to 10th grade, and you can see the numbers. And what's unfortunate is there's a steady drop from third grade down to 10th grade. And so we know there's a problem there, from 2015 to 16 and from 2016 to 17. So what has happened in the past, as we were talking about, our Board of Education changed Debbie Barnett's role from an administrator to a math coordinator. And so we all agree that we feel that this is a great move for her, and her concentration is going to be right here in the 8th grade, 9th, and 10th grade range. And I know she still comes to our school as well as Indian Valley, but her concentration with the SREB program to do activities in that aspect is really, really going to help those scores come up. I feel really good about it. And then as the bar graph shows, this is just 3rd, 4th, and 5th. We do have just a little dip. The older they get, their score dips down a little bit, but hopefully our proposed solutions will help with that as well.
Okay, this year we started Scantron assessment in place of the STAR. And we start with our kindergarten students. We're a pre-K2 school, but our kindergarten students did take the Scantron in the fall. And, right now we're still working through the pros and the cons of what we can do for our students. I think one disadvantage for our young ones, our kindergarten students take it on the iPad. They can move those iPads very well. Our 1st grade and 2nd grade students use the Chromebooks, but they come in to us, some of them never touch technology. So that's a challenge, just getting them used to sitting and taking an assessment. But this does show our below average. We really want to focus here. We looked at our average low and our below average students in K1 and 2, and we see that it matches our STAR. We see that it's still a need. Of course, this was the fall, so like I said, there's things there that come into play with them as well.
Okay, and the next step is the Pinecrest school Scantron data. And we have, for the below average, which is the area we focus, 32% for 3rd grade, 26.26% for 4th grade, and 26% for 5th grade. And one good thing about the Scantron is that it gives us immediate feedback to help drive our instruction and to show us the tailored instructional, the areas that these children need to be addressed to help them get to proficiency.
And it's ability based. So for instance, I may have a child that's on a 4th grade level, but he is also taking skills that I saw on standard wise. It was a 6th grade skill that he was getting tested on.
Right.
And he was successful at. So my thing is I'm going to aim towards enriching him while I'm still remediating the other ones.
And it provides immediate reports for the teachers.
Yes.
So it's immediate feedback. The teachers have access.
What to do.
And we also provide you with individual information on each student,
Correct.
but also group.
Yes, you can.
So
You
you're
can
able to
do
look
groups,
across the
and
group.
you can go into the program and program it to what you want it to do. It will set up groups. If you have children that are not proficient in one standard, it will group those children together in that
Really
standard.
flexible.
It's very flexible for you to be able to drive that instruction for small group instruction, just that targeted standard for those students to be able to go in there and work at that. So the Scantron has been very beneficial, and the support of our administrators, teaching that through PD, teaching us how to use that program.
And what I love about it is we not only have these Scantron testing as far as benchmark aspects of it, but we also can go in and create sample tests for these kids so they can see more how things might be worded and things like that, as well as get used to taking these tests on Chromebooks, which is a big hurdle for us to get over because they're not used to taking these assessments online. They're used to pencil and paper. And especially, yes, it's harder with the math, which is what we're, focusing on, but with the reading, these passages sometimes these kids get are long and they're having to scroll. So we're having to not only teach these students the content, but we're having to get them used to computers and Chromebooks. And so that's been another hurdle to kind of get over.
And to stem off that, it's like I told my kids today. We took an achievement series test today for practice, and it said, being a coach, I'm not going to put you in a ball game and you've never swung the bat before. We're going to put you in, and we'll have a couple of rounds swinging that bat before you get in the box to play. So we have 9 days to prepare before this
Right.
next benchmark. So it's one of those things, if you have that mindset, and that's something that makes them feel more confident, not only the teacher, but the child feels confident in.
And you have the achievement series and a performance series, where one is for more of progress monitoring and using to drive that instruction, the other one is for the actual benchmark testing.
Okay.
In this type of data, it shows from the last 2 school years, so 15-16, it's comparing the African Americans as opposed to the white children. So we've got 41% proficiency for African Americans as opposed to 74% proficiency for whites. And then for 16-17, we've got 38% African American proficiency as opposed to 67% for whites. And we know that there's a need for the African Americans. We know that, and that needs to be our focus. And we want to support them in any way we can to increase their math proficiency. And comparing males and females, you can see right here, there's not that much difference. Not that much difference, in fact, this is exactly the same. So that, to me, is not our issue is here.
Which that kind of surprised us almost, because we know that the African American males tend to perform, not as well. So that kind of surprised us on that data, but we still know that our biggest focus is on your African American male population.
That's what I was just wondering, have you looked at,
Breaking
when
it
you
down.
looked at the
Yes, ma'am.
African Americans, have you broken that down to
Yes,
male and
ma'am.
female? But these over here are all of your students,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we actually have that broken down in our actual paper.
You need a chart.
But we got plenty of charts for you, we just didn't put it in this presentation, or you would have been bombarded with way too much data.
That's good.
Miss Green created those, our principal created those at the beginning of the year, and at a faculty meeting, we sat down, and we broke it down way down, so.
Yes. All right, so we finally have made it to our problem. Within our school system, it's essential. Our ultimate goal is to prepare all of our students for college, career, community. We can't say it enough. And as you can see from our data, the problem we identified is that we have an inconsistency with math proficiency across the grade levels, K through 12. But we focused on K through 5.
Step 2, determine people or the stakeholders that are negatively impacted by the current problem. We started with, of course, the parents, the students, the teachers, and our community members. Our mission here is that we have our students that are college and career ready. The issue is that we feel confident as they leave Pinecrest, but then when they get to the older grades, the success rate is not where we want it to be. So let's lay the issue out and let's fix it. So that's the one thing that I've enjoyed about this project is us, okay, this is where we stand. How do we get there to fix this problem? So these are the people that have been negatively affected. So we got to look at, okay, how are we going to make this into a positive? These are the people we want to reach. Not only just administration, all the way down to the parents, to the students, the teachers, to even everyone in the community.
And that starts with us in our school when they come into Indian Valley. And we try to reach out the same thing from the day one. Lots of opportunities because we want the community involved.
All right, so step 3, we selected a representative committee, or we called it a task force, that we used to address this problem. Our task force consisted of a math team leader, which is Olivia, an interventionist, which is Cindy, 2 administrators. We dealt with Ms. Barnett and Dr. Abner mostly because Ms. Barnett was our principal during most of this time of creating this. We had 2 math teachers. I'm a math teacher as well as Karen is. And then we had 3 reading teachers on this committee as well. We had Jennifer, Rita, and then Meg. As well as we had several parent representatives that we had discussions with, as well as student representatives. We did bring in and talk to some of our students at different times to get their feedback on different aspects of our presentation and paper and findings.
Okay, this one's mine. For our meetings, in our initial meeting, we had discussions, and when we're talking about the inconsistencies in the math data across K through 12, we were talking about more that the math changes as the students transition from middle to high school. You know, when they're leaving here and then they go to middle school and then to high school. And so we had noticed that children that may be leaving here proficiently or proficient, maybe when they got to the middle school and in high school, they were not proficient. And, you know, so we're wondering why, what was causing that. And then we discussed a need for math initiatives within our school. And when we're talking about that, we're going more toward what I spoke about before in the training that we've had with PD. That in this area right here, that the Scantron information that we get from that can be used, you know, for small group instruction in those targeted skills that these children need to have to be proficient. Okay, so that is definitely one thing that we're continuing to work on. I feel like that we have grown so much through PD and everything else that we've been provided here. So that's an area that we're really growing in right now. And then job assignments within the task force is what Anna just said. Okay, is that okay? And then for the meetings, we had the discussions where, you know, of course you're in our data room and where we have looked at the 2016-2017 STAR math data for 2nd through 5th, and then the STI math, and then for the Aspire data for 3rd through 8th grades, but then now we're focusing more on the Scantron data for kindergarten through 5th grade for this year.
And that's one thing I want to kind of touch base on. In the past,
That's flying back. I'm an English teacher. Make all your datas the same rather than capitalize it. Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
one thing I want to kind of touch
I
base
like
on.
it, Dr. Owens, I like it.
Somebody take note of that.
10-4, making a note.
I don't have a pencil. One big thing I wanted to touch base here on, she said, you know, our main focus now is on Scantron data, which is excellent because we have it for kindergarten through 5th grade, kindergarten up now, you know. Well, in the past, we haven't really had it for everybody to, you know, to see everything. And so I'm excited about that. We focused on ACT Aspire in the past. That only started in 3rd grade. So yeah, we had that end of the year data, but it was 3rd up, you know. So I'm excited to see this end of the year Scantron data and see how it affects everybody across the board.
Step 4 was to identify and explain the limitations on the representative group's decision making. So we looked into what limitations we might be facing as we were making decisions.
Okay, and again, this is going to be our previous one, this lack of basic proficiency for students, limited background knowledge to help deepen concepts. And that area, again, is going back to the slide that I just discussed earlier. It's going back to the slide.
And to kind of piggyback on what she's talking about, many of our students, when they come to us in kindergarten, I was a kindergarten teacher last year, and we talked about, you know, a lot of our kids have never been in a setting outside their home. They've never been kept by anybody other than their mom or their grandmother, and they have no idea what a school setting is like. So it's a really big transition for a lot of them to figure out what is school all about, and then on top of that to also try to figure out all of the academic concepts that they're dealing with.
And one thing, I want to piggyback on you too. But one thing that is really helping us with that is that we are a one-to-one school. So with our computer and technology, our Chromebooks that the kids have got, our technology that they're provided with now, that, you know, whether even though they may not have that background knowledge, they're able to have more knowledge when they come into our classrooms.
And that's when we put a research piece in most of our lessons, and so they're provided that opportunity to use the Chromebook to research the knowledge that they don't.
And hopefully that's going to get better because now with us at Indian Valley, we're becoming more one-to-one, our 2nd grade classrooms already. And, you know, hopefully that will help as they transition here to Pinecrest now. So just the communication between the schools throughout the system is huge. It's very important.
And another limitation is lack of parent engagement. We know that
Parents are a big part of this. They're a major stakeholder. We want them to be involved and help out with their kids. We do have workshops and things, but sometimes they can't attend because of, conflicts with work or other extracurricular activities. And we know that parents, we want them to help with the children's homework, but they may not be familiar with the skills we're teaching or the strategies we're using. One thing that has helped is,
I'm so sorry.
you're good. One thing that has helped, like she has said, is the technology. iExcel we now use, and the kids can use that at home. So it's a resource that we've provided for the parents to help them out when they're helping the students.
And going back to the parents, some of them not attending the workshops, we do have our, the literacy nights where the parents, in the math, where they have, we're.
Right.
And kind of talking about this as well, I know we're focusing mostly on our lower kids, moving them, but another focus with our school system is accelerating. I know this year that has been kind of one of my big goals, is to accelerate kids. And with the use of technology, we are being able to accelerate more of these kids this year. And I feel like myself, I have done a lot better this year at accelerating our higher kids. Because they get bored in class. If they know what to do, they get bored. And so it's great to be able to bring in that technology and I can say, okay, you and you've got this. Go to your choice boards and I'm basically their choice boards. They're allowed to do certain skills, but it's on maybe a 6th or 7th grade skill. And they are truly enjoying it. And I'm seeing not only just behavior-wise, but I'm seeing they're wanting to participate more too, because all the kids are seeing these kids being accelerated, and they want to be those kids. They want to be able to go to those choice boards instead of being stuck with me in small group and trying to move them on up.
It's a great way to differentiate.
Yes, thank you. That's the word.
That's okay. All right, our decision-making process, we met multiple times. If we couldn't meet in person, we would meet online. We keep talking about technology is a great resource, and it was. And another great thing, this is a Google slide, so we were able to all collaborate even if we weren't together. So we have met numerous times. We collected all the data, as you can see from our paper and from our Google slide here. Great discussion, and honestly for me, and I guess speak for the other reading teachers, it was great this experience because we got to learn more about math, and so identify that issue.
And there's been such a push in reading, and it's kind of like you're sitting for the kid that's sitting on the bench that hadn't had any playing time. It was kind of like you're sticking up for the kid that didn't get any playing time for math, right? So that's why we
I
go
love
like.
your analogy.
That's so it's kind of like you're sticking up for the kid that never gets to play.
Go team.
Cohort. There you go.
All right, and so step 5 is to obtain information and establish 1 to 3 criteria against which to measure possible solutions. So the research to determine the criteria, one was math interventions. We talked a lot about our interventions at our schools, and the focus has been reading. But math interventions taking place within the classroom, tier 1 course, tier 2, the teachers are pulling. Even though right now, I know at our school, last year we did have pull out for tier 3 math, but with number changes and different focuses, it's hard to meet the needs of all the students with limited personnel. So we've really focused on reading, and we know we're the foundation at Indian Valley for building those skills. But we also know there's a need for math interventions. So one solution we hope is to provide more tier 3 math instruction. And that doesn't mean that it's not happening, because it should be happening in our teachers' classrooms. But as far as an additional pull-out for math, that's one of our strategies we hope to see. And collaboration. We know, best practices is for our teachers and our administrators to work together in our schools with our parents. And we also know that's important for our students. So having the students collaborate together, because I see it every day. Our students learn from each other. They learn more from each other than they'll ever learn by listening to me. So collaboration is a big part within our schools, but also to pass that on to our students. And that also goes back to our vertical team meetings within our school system, because our grade levels meet And our second and third grade teachers met just recently again, and we want to make sure that we all know what's happening at each school. And that's to benefit our students because they come first and we want to meet all of their needs.
And I just want to kind of piggyback you, a quote that kind of stood out to me here, it was from A Guide to Mathematics Leadership, which I think is our textbook. It stated, the collective energy of the group is greater than the sum of the individual's energy.
Yep.
That quote right there stood out to me. I mean, of course it's on collaboration, but it's 100% true. That collective energy is greater than just one person over there by themselves not doing anything. So that was just a very big quote that stood out for me.
Yeah, the parental involvement piece we've talked about already. Again, we know how important it is to get the parents on board. And one thing I do want to say here, I think, we know we're on the right track. We've had a lot of professional development offered this year already to focus on math. At Indian Valley, we have now implemented a stream lab. And I am the lucky one, I get to do it and I'm loving it, but the math is,
Emma loves that.
yeah, math is integrated there. So I'm getting to put that math piece in every day with these children. And it is collaboration, it's hands-on, it's group work, and it's just amazing to see. So I think we're on the right track of getting that in.
One thing I want you to add here, because it's the purpose of this step. After your discussion, the solutions that we select must offer these opportunities. Because these opportunities are what are very important. But, so that's the focus of step 5. Now, everybody sitting in the room is gonna know that, but say it again. That's the purpose of step 5, and say, what criteria must solutions we select meet? Those things. They're important.
And let me just say one thing on this slide. If you use the secondary bullet, you have to have 2. Okay, so just come back in and you can, like on that first one, extra different instruction,
And then break it up.
bullet, small group setting, bullet, specific curriculum. Okay, just kind of do them like that.
And the same thing on collaboration,
Yeah.
best practices, students and teachers, easy.
And the
You're-
last one too.
Yeah, last one too. You may have a little bit smaller font to get all that stuff on one slide, I don't know.
Yeah, instead of.
But you can play with it.
All right, continuing with criteria, criterion 1.
There they are,
Yes.
yeah. All right. I'm sorry. All right, you don't really need to say what I said.
That's what I told Gary, I said, I can pass the next slide.
I was right.
It's okay. It's all good. Thank you for coming.
But anyway, we discussed in our task force that our solutions must directly support, I know we talked about it before, but collaboration between all stakeholders. So we want to make sure that they all feel supported, they're all coming together, administrators, teachers, both at Indian Valley and Pinecrest. So we're working together, both of our schools. And then criterion 2, we want to make sure that these solutions support the mathematics content. And also, along with that, student learning, because not every child learns the same way.
Ta-da. There it is.
Oh, it's me again. Okay. All right, so step 6, we generated proposed alternative solutions, numbering clearly through, though briefly, describe each solution, answer each solution's questions for each solution. All right. All right, so our considered solutions, we came up with 3 originally. The first one was to provide Tier 3 instruction with specific curriculum. Now, we already provide Tier 3 instruction within the classroom. But what we meant by this was an additional, that extra dip, where they are removed from the classroom and taken to an intervention classroom, small group setting, less distractions. That's what we're looking for. And as reading teachers, we already do that. We already have students pulled out for that extra dip. And so we feel that we need that in math. The second considered solution was the monthly math nights. We already do math nights and literacy nights, but we want more opportunities for those parents who can't come those few nights. And then the third solution was professional learning community for mathematics teachers, and these are our considered solutions. But we're going to pick 2, which ones we've decided on. So for
step 7, we solicited feedback to the proposed solutions from the people or from our stakeholders. The way we did this, we created a Google form to survey and get the feedback. We shared this with the stakeholders in the Sylacauga City school system. That included all stakeholders, representatives from all stakeholder groups. And we used this feedback to determine our possible solutions. We sent out 82 surveys, but only 45 were actually completed. Which we were actually pretty pumped about that. Of course, we wanted 100% completion, but you get what you get.
I gotta get it.
Yes. So here's the actual, feedback we got. For solution 1, 78% were of support of this. They thought this solution would be awesome because it affects both parents and students.
Yeah.
Solution 2, it was 87%, because it's easy to implement into those classrooms. Solution 3, which was the PD one, 33% were of support of that. And the reason that we got most of the feedback was because we already received so much PD, a sufficient amount of PD. Now, we're gonna have PD, that's just gonna happen. But we just didn't want additional unless it was actually going to be beneficial to us. I know in our classes, our last class we were in as well as this class we were in, we've had to create a professional learning community. And so we are really seeing exactly what needs to take place.
And what a PLC should actually look
Yes.
like, and when it's done
The
correctly.
who, what, where, when, why, how type thing.
Because I know that with the amount of PD, for instance, with having on 4th grade level, I've got 3 math teachers, 2 of them are 2nd year teachers and the other one's a 1st year teacher. The first thing they're gonna tell you is 2 things. One, they need professional development on formative assessments or quality questioning. So it's like you get this in repeated professional development, and I feel like that's one of the things, maybe the mindset too, that we can change with teachers is trying to show them what PLC should really look like.
And who should participate in them. Your brand new teachers probably should not be in the same PLC as your veteran teachers, especially if it pertains to quality questioning or formative assessments like that.
Like differentiation.
Right. There's different things that people are not as familiar with and are not as confident with.
Okay, step 8. Here are the proposed solutions that we selected. So this is down to the nitty-gritty. Olivia?
But